Hello, guys. Welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and today I'm talking about Venus retrograde in Capricorn, in which she is going to spend 40 days-ish and 40 nights going backwards in the sky from December the 19th until January the 29th. And why do you care? Why does it matter? Let's stick on my teeth. Only in a Venus video would I ask that question. You know what I mean? So I put really dark lipstick on just for Venus today. That's what I'm doing, okay? So I'm going to say something. You know, Venus retrograde for each of us is going to be different because she will retrograde in one of 12 houses, or therefore 12 areas of your life, which is defined by the sign of Capricorn, which of the 12 houses is your Capricorn whole sign house. So we will do the all signs, and I'll give you my thoughts about how that might impact you over the next while until the end of January. But also I'd like to say some big broad strokes about this Venus retrograde. All right, number one, she is hitting Pluto 3 times. I'm not going to go back over that. If you want to find out about her bumping into Pluto during this journey, you want to check. She already bumped into him before the retrograde, but she'll be bumping into him again around 24th and 25th of December, and then again later on in the beginning of March. And so this energy of the Pluto-Venus 3 times contact, right, which is in another video I've done, just check the box below to find out how that might impact you. That's something we haven't seen the last time she was doing retrogradation in the sign of Capricorn, which was back in November, December of 2013, and the first couple of months of 2014. Her retrogrades means she'll be in Capricorn for roughly 4 months. This time around, it was November 5th and until the first week of March. So last time she was doing her 4-month stint in Capricorn because of retrogradation back in fall of 13, winter of 14, she only crossed over Pluto once. She came close to him a couple of times, but never really made a perfect conjunction. So there's something very unique and special and exciting and deep and powerful about this transformational energies of Pluto meeting with Venus in the sky. So in your own life, you know, you can suss that out. The other thing I'd like to say about it in a sense is that Venus retrogrades can be extremely revealing, almost like a treasure hunt. I'm going to give you an example. And I'm also going to pitch my friend Louise Eddington, an amazing astrologer, a shamanic astrologer, with her Venus retrograde class. It's already started, but you can sign up late. Check the box below for special discounts for all my people and stuff like that. But check her link to her class below if you'd like to jump aboard. And it's very fun, engaged, connected, dynamic, you know, journeying for those 40 days with a group of people into the story of Venus retrograde in your life and doing shamanic journey work. Okay, so enough of that pitching Louise Eddington's class. Let me say something about my experience a few years ago in Venus retrograde before I do the all signs. You know, I was approaching the Venus retrograde in the fall of 2018. She was retrograding in Scorpio as, you know, a possible fun thing to do. And so I signed up for Louise's shamanic Venus retrograde class and the heroine's journey, the treasure hunt. And what happened was nothing short of amazing. I actually ended up having one of those shamanic journeys tell me that I needed to move my Saturn out of the 12th house and into my first house. Now, Saturn is in my first house in whole sign astrology, whole sign house system, which I use now. But back then I was using Placidus and he was stuck in the 12th. And only like a couple of weeks after that journey, and Venus was in Scorpio, which is my whole sign 10th house of career, but also my Placidus 9th house of higher learning. Only 2 weeks after that journey, I bumped into then Adam Allen Buss, now Achutabhava, and I ended up studying a year of Hellenistic astrology with him, which transformed my modern practice and totally shifted my career direction entirely, where now astrology is the thing I do, as before it was a thing I do. So, you know, it was through the shamanic journey, through Venus's movement, through Capricorn, through Scorpio back in 2018, that deep investigation of, you know, what Venus wanted me to do with my career, that I came into this new path. I would also say the last time Venus was retrograding in Capricorn, I did my first ever wine cleanse and I went 40 days without wine. So, you know, and I'm doing that again. So it's kind of like, it seems when Venus is in Capricorn for my Aquarius rising self, she's in my 12th house and she helps me clean up my bad habits. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the all signs. How might this 40-day retrograde most impact you based on the sign in which it's happening, which therefore is the house. If you're not sure about houses, and look at your rising sign first, sun and moon secondarily, because the rising sign will be the most accurate, and the sun and moon can be sort of like extra flavors of meaning. Now, what was I going to say about that? Brain. If you don't know the meanings of the houses, I say them every time I do these recordings, check the description box below. I'll stick it near the top. I have a free PDF download of the in-depth meanings of the houses that I created for one of my classes. You're welcome to grab it down below and have it as a resource for yourself when you're listening to these kinds of videos. All right, that's just a thought. You might want it. Okay, don't forget to check out everything below. My all signs, my bundles available. Sign up for my newsletter. You get everything 30% off, including a reading with me. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm trying to reach 3,000. Finally reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year, because honest to God, guys, I've been doing this since 2019, but I changed my brand from just me talking about the event wave and ascension stuff and enlightenment to astrology in 2019. And I completely tanked my channel's growth. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying the universe didn't like the bait and switch. All right, let's get going to the all signs. I'm just going to tell you the gist of it for you. I'm not going to pull up the picture of the sky and do the whole thing. I don't think it's needed. So give me a sec while I just grab a transit chart on the back end, and I'll give you a real quickie here. I've got a client shortly, so I'm going to give you what I think this retrograde offers you, reminding you that Mars will join Venus eventually in the new year. Juno's hanging out there. There's a huge party going on in Capricorn as we move into 2022. Just when you need a transit chart handy on your back end of your software, there doesn't happen to be a transit chart handy. Lori, you should have planned this. Sorry, guys. There's a bit of an impromptu video. I thought I could wedge it in before my next client. All right, there we go. I also did an in-depth interview with Louise Eddington, and I'll put the link in my description box below as well. I did that about a month and a half ago, talking about the whole Venus story. All right, so let's get going and start with, I think I'm just going to start traditionally. I'm going to do the Cancer people first, if you guys don't mind that. Back to the basics, and we'll get rolling. Sorry, it's taking me forever. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign folk. So Venus retrograding in Capricorn and reminding you to go back to the fall of 13 and into the winter of 14, early winter, and this will be redolent or reminiscent of stuff that she's done before while she retrograded. But she's going to be retrograding December 19th to January 29th in your 10th house of career. Now, for a lot of Aries people, this could mean you're going to go back over some old areas of career development, like go back and do something that you've done before in your career and redo it again. Or you could have somebody from your office or employment history or bosses from the past coming back to you. But at a deeper level, the real call of a Venus retrograde in the 10th house is to really, really dive into what would give you pleasure and joy and fulfillment and creativity in your career, and to lean into that. You know, it was the Venus retrograde in my 10th house, Scorpio, a few years ago, because I'm Aquarius rising, that led me to being a full-time astrologer. So reminding you that this is not just about, old bosses who are female show up again. It's a deeper question than that. It's like, what is your praxis or action in the world that you're here to take that Venus would give her a stamp of approval for you, which means she wants you to have some joy, enjoyment, creativity, hear the muse, feel enlivened by it. Okay, so keep that in mind. So, you know, by the end of this retrograde, 29th of January, there will be clues for you to pick up new threads in your career that may have their history in the past. Okay, I just started writing fiction and screenplays again, 3 planets in Aries, right, including my sun and moon. And I think that's what she's doing in my 10th house right now. She's re-inciting my muse. And just so you know, she did that in 2013, 14, when she was in Capricorn for my Aries self. That's when I started writing up a storm at Elephant Journal and Goodman Project magazine. And I was prolific and Huffington Post. My writing muse was on steroids. So she's got my writing muse back again for me as she's getting ready to retrograde on the 19th of December through to the 29th of January. Last but not least, I'll say one thing. you know, she's retrograding between about 26 and 11 degrees of Capricorn. So Aries, if your rising sign is anywhere in that range of about 9 to 28 degrees of, you know, Aries, you're really feeling it on your ascendant, really feeling the energy of this shift of energy that she's providing in your career. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign, you get this experience of a Venus retrograde, as you did back in late 13 into early 14, with your ninth house. And your ninth house is kind of a very religious, spiritual attainment, you know, the vibration of what it is that's your purpose in life, your dharma. And it's really being activated by this retrograde. And, you know, that it could also lead you, some of you Tauruses, to focus on a new direction in higher education, a new course of study, or if not a new course of study, a new direction within the actual studies you're doing. It also pertains to foreign lands, and some of you may jaunt off to a foreign shore, a foreign land, maybe in the 9 months that follow the retrograde before she gets into another star point with another place in the sky. So the gist of it is all these ninth house things are being activated by Venus. Now, Venus can be a goddess of what we value, and the ninth house is our higher philosophical beliefs and values. And so you may be really digging into what some of those things mean for you. And in Vedic astrology, the ninth house is a house of the father. Very possible you may have going over some old ground regarding a father, or repeating of something that went on with a father back in late 2013 into the early winter of 2014. Hey, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign, you have Venus retrograding in your 8th house of other people's money. And this can definitely bring you money, but through all kinds of interesting directions: bank loans, inheritances, tax rebates, investments that pay off. So you can find your money story, though, with Venus, a money goddess, going backwards for 40 days between the 19th and the 29th, going into a bit of a deep dive. I mean, this could be almost like a forensic investigation of the way you handle money, but Venus wants to bring you more. So she'll go back in order to go forward. Where do you have to go back over old financial ground? Now, this could also be spousal money or business partner money or alimony and all that kind of child support money, stuff like that. So you're digging back, Geminis, going back to clear up some of the jointly held money stuff with a partner. You go back to 2000 and, you know, go back to the November, December of 2013, first couple of weeks of 2014, and you might be able to sort of recapture some of the money things that you were doing back then. Finally, if you're into sexuality and modern astrology, you know, this is a Tantra house and maybe a bit of a BDSM and kink house, the 8th house. So you may be, with Venus retrograding, getting back in touch with a former lover or partner, sex partner, in which you explored the very deep layers of the sexuality, or occult magic and wisdom and mystery traditions, like, you know, supernatural, metaphysical, arcane stuff from your past, maybe through a female, could be coming back online again for you during this retrograde. So, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign, you have a big relationship action going on here in your primary other sex section, like your marriage partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, a committed love, maybe business partners, sometimes legal contracts that you have to sign, sometimes your clients or marketplace or audience for your career. So that 7th house is lit up. Venus is very busy with the stellium of planets in there. You know, it's a big, you know, party. I keep saying cluster F, but it's a party with, you know, Mercury and Juno and Pluto and Venus and everyone hanging out there, you know, so this is an intense energy there. So you're going to put a lot of focus on your primary partner, you Cancers, or if you don't have a primary partner, Venus retrograding can bring an old marriage partner back from the, you know, backstage, coming back forward again, or some old love coming out of the closet and re-showing herself in your life again. So you may resurrect Pluto and Venus, an old marriage partnership or love story. Now, also, if you have any desire to, you know, start dating and stuff like this with Venus in this part of the sky, you're going to go for people and relationships that have deep value and meaning to you if she retrogrades, and will maybe ask you to dig deep into what kind of partner you really want and what kind of relationship you really would enjoy. You might do a little inner work as well as she retrogrades there, as you peruse the marketplace of dating or connecting. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, you know, Venus is retrograding in your with a big bunch of planets there in your sixth house of health protocols and work protocols and routines, as well as the idea of what we do in the world that's our work, our service to the greater good. Sometimes, though, the sixth house can look a lot like employees in your office place or your colleagues or your coworkers. So Venus retrograding, she could be just a female in the workplace. You're going back over some old ground with that person, or they're coming back, an old former employee or colleague or coworker comes out of the woodwork and suddenly is back in your life again. This is a house of pets, and you know, Venus retrograding could bring an old pet back to you. I don't know how that could happen, or the desire for a pet, or could just bring a pet to you. I mean, you know, the retrograde is interesting that way. I just think if you really wanted it, desired and wanted a pet, you may be going back into feeling that desire of having a little four-legged with you in your home. And so Venus retrograding here could bring in a new animal into your house, especially as she goes direct at the end of January. She is a benefic and she will try to support your better health. And given that she's with Pluto, any health routines that you pick up now will be highly transformative. That includes getting rid of addictions, by the way, okay, or habits that really don't support you. She can kick those out when she's traveling through the 12th or the 6th. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, this is your house of sexuality, romantic love, children, babies, pregnancy, creativity, the muse, fun, play, joy, and pleasure. Venus loves being here. She's in her joy. She's in a good spot. She comes into this deep, you know, retrogradation over there for 4 months in your 5th house, quite rarely, reminding you every 8 years. The last time was 2013, November, December, first couple of months of 2014. So this is a really important time in which you may be getting back in touch with her, during her retrograde, things that really bring you joy. Like you used to love to paint or draw or sing or act or, you know, something like that, coming back, an old passionate creative endeavor returning to you. Women, Venus often represents that, or lovers in the 5th house from the past showing back up in your life during this retrograde, December the 19th to the 29th of January. And if you are in a love relationship, the energy of your sex life may go into a deeper direction with your partner during those retrogradation 40 days or so. And you may go back over old ground with some kind of thing to do with pregnancy or childbirth. So, you know, be cautious here, because I don't know, Venus is a benefic in a pregnancy house and she doesn't leave till early March. So if you don't want to have a baby, be careful. And if you're single, of course, you could get a former love coming in from the past, reestablishing connection with you, Virgo. And so let's see what happens with that. Usually Venus retrograde, old lovers coming back kind of thing, is more like to tie up loose ends and bring greater completion, not really usually to get together for good. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign, you're having the experience of a retrograde Venus going through your sky between the 19th of December and January 29th in your 4th house of homeland and real estate and your domestic inner private life, your sanctuary, your way of being out of the public eye. So Venus retrograde, it often looks like, crazy enough, redecorating, you know, repainting, going back over something that doesn't feel beautiful enough in your home and you realize you got to fix it. Or a female could come to you from your past who wants to spend some time with you, visiting you in your home. You also might find love at home or in the home area, meaning that bumping into somebody really close to where you live and inciting a romance could happen. Sometimes Venus retrograde in the 4th house can bring us in touch with people from our homeland, like literally if you're born in different countries, someone from your country of origin or from your town of your growing up town, you know, your childhood home. I also would say to you that if you want to sell or buy real estate, she's a money goddess supporting you in a way that help you maybe get money out of that 8th house, right? Your 8th house is Venus ruled, the perfect bank loan, the ideal situation, right? To get money to buy or sell or fix or do something, home equity loan with your real estate. Scorpio, sun, moon, but especially rising sign. Venus will retrograde in your 3rd house of your neighborhood, your siblings, your aunts, uncles, and cousins kind of vibe. The 3rd house could be skills-based learning, websites and online stuff. Venus retrograding here, if you're building a website, Scorpios, wow, it's just great. You know, you're going to go back and dig in deep and make sure you got all the things most beautifully done, that you can possibly make it the most persuasive, captivating, and glorious website or social media platform event you've done in a long time. You could get in touch with female siblings that you've been out of touch with during this time. Venus is good for that when she's going through your retrograde through your third house. If you want to learn a Venusian skill, such as any art form, especially in Capricorn, very practical art forms, you know, that you can tangibly do, like build a sculpture, make a pot, you know, sew a dress or something. Anyway, you may get back in touch with some of those and start to enjoy that as well. Ultimately, the third house can be the environs in which you live, your large neighborhood at large, you know, pubs and stuff like that, you know, restaurants. Could possibly mean that she wants you to go back to an older neighborhood and find something good, like a treasure in that older neighborhood. What kind of treasure? Well, Juno, the goddess of committed love, and Cupido, the trans-Neptunian for Cupid's arrow kind of vibe, are with her during her retrograde. So for some of you single Scorpios, it could be finding love in the local hood, but a love that you would commit to, okay? Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising sign, you're experiencing the retrogradation of Venus in Capricorn in your second house of money, earnings, and possessions. So a lot of this is going to be about a money story for you, Sagittarius. Old money can come back to you during the 40 days of December 19th to the end of January. Go back to late 2013, early 14. What was going on, Sagittarius, is in your life then to do with earnings and money. Now, you know, it could be that because there's a retrograde, somebody from a place of employment or an old boss or an old colleague gets in touch with you with an offer or some kind of, you know, good thing that you can benefit from in your work. And this actually happened to my Sagittarius ex-husband's son during that last Capricorn retrograde through his second house. So an old friend got in touch with him and got him a job that he's still in today. So, you know, how do you like that? I think that a lot of you Sagittarius though can also find that your money story is being revised by you, because Venus is your values and a values-oriented house. She is asking you what you really desire. You may revisit about questions about what you value, what you desire, and how you earn your money. So for some of you Sagittarius, you may change your earning style. You may change your way money comes to you as a result of this retrograde. Venus in your second house. She will be, of course, opposing the eighth house of inheritance. I would be remiss if I didn't say, because the moon is the ruler of your eighth house, if your mother is frail or elderly, or, you know, looking like she may be getting ready to pass, this could also be a sign, Venus retrograding across from the house of the mother, just a general principle that it could be about money from an inheritance from a female or a matriarchal figure in your family of origin. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, it's all about you, right? It's your sign. You are having Venus retrograde in the house of your body, your identity, your you-ness. And so you're going to go back over your, first of all, how you look. You know, if you don't like the way you look, Venus retrograde will go back and help you tool around with how you look, you know, go back to the old hairstyle, the old fashioned style. Reassess your appearance, buy a new wardrobe, that kind of thing, but you're retrograding. So she may go back and say, what about that coat was in your closet? Pull it back out. It's such a handsome coat. Okay, so what else? She could also, retrograding in your first house, be preparing you for some kind of reassessment of your body in terms of cosmetic procedures. Now, I would not ever get a cosmetic procedure done while she was retrograding in my first house, but certainly on the 19th of the month of December to the end of January, you can investigate cosmetic procedures, do research into it, you know, that kind of thing can definitely happen. And then, you know, all of February and March, you will be going direct through all of February, beginning of March, to your first house. And then I'd be like 2 thumbs up for your dermabrasion or your, you know, eye surgery or whatever else. Now, lastly, Venus in your first house makes you a bit more persuasive, charismatic, seductive, and likable to other people, which is retrograding. I'm not sure how that will work. You may feel that people that you used to know are finding you very appealing, you know, all of a sudden. But you can definitely, as a single Capricorn, put on a little bit of a glamour and attract women, and that or men, depends what you want, with that Venus in your first house. And that would be going on just, you know, November 5th through to March the 6th. It's just that retrograde period to look at how that works. Go back to, you know, November, December 2013, January, February 2014. How were you doing with your appearance, with love, with romance, with relationships, with getting what you want? Venus in that first house retrograde. All right, moving on. I want to make sure I'm not late for my client. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. So this is me. We are having this in a deep internal place of our 12th house. As I said earlier, you know, every time Venus retrogrades in my 12th house, I get rid of a bad habit, go on wine cleanses, you know, do 40-day no alcohol thingies. You know, it's just always the same deal. Now, I think that, you know, we can look as Aquarians at deeper than a substance abuse or addictions. We can look at also how we may not value ourselves, and how in our lack of self-worth and self-value, we may undo ourselves. You know, Venus is retrograding in one of the houses that can involve money, not traditionally as a 12th house of money house, but it involves money from foreign shores and foreign lands, kind of that barter and trade vibration. And in that regard, you can definitely look at her retrograde as having you dig in to the ways in which you're going to procure earnings or funds from other places in foreign lands. Think PayPal, think Stripe. You could also engage with her retrograde in 8th house issues, because she will trine the 8th house. Inheritances, taxes, tax things. It's funny, she's barely retrograde, and I spent like 5 hours with different tax advisors in the Canadian government in the last couple of days on the phone. So, you know, getting those kind of 8th house monies in order, your taxes, your investments, your bank accounts. I mean, I'm already doing it. She's not even retrograde. Even today, I went back over one of my bank accounts and I realized that I've been double charged by a company for like 6 months. Talk about lazy, right? And I'm getting that money back. So figuring out when she retrogrades, she might go back over like fiscal old ground in order to create new fertile soil for greater growth. Women who need to be, well, first of all, Venus retrograding in the 12th can mean some woman that you've known for a long time becomes not healthy and goes into the hospital or needs care, and you might be involved in that. Not usually, for instance, a parent or a child. Venus would represent more, you know, peer relationships. If you're looking for love and you're single and you're Aquarian like me, you know anybody, guys, put their name in the comments and tag them. I'm not joking. And maybe I should ask all my YouTubers to find me somebody. If love arises while Venus is in Capricorn 12th house for Aquarians, let alone for 4 months, it's a very karmic relationship. Okay, very soulmatey. So there's that as well. Alrighty, so enough of that. Let's move on. Did I start with Aries? Okay, I'm at the end of it. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Retrogradation of Venus in your 11th house of good spirit can bring you old friends and colleagues and relationships with larger acquaintances who return out of the woodwork. Allies and friends who are benefactors can all of a sudden show up as well, but you will have known them from the past who want to support you in some positive way. She's a money goddess in a house of the gains that come from your career, your 10th house. She's going back over old ground. So maybe money that you should have had that never showed up, you know, the delayed bonus, the promotion you should have had now returned to you. If you were looking for a job and you applied and you didn't get it, maybe they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, we pulled you back out of the resume pile and the other one fell through. Do you want this job? So, you know, something from the past regarding money and work and career could resurface during this retrograde. Go back to 2013. What were you doing? In the last 2 months of 13, the first 2 months of 2014, you might get a sense of how Venus retrograde operates in this part of your sky. With Juno, the goddess of agreements and contracts, in your 11th house with Venus, as well as Mercury, some of you could look at signing on the dotted line some agreement or work contract or something like that. But again, her retrograde, December 19th to January 29th, it comes to somebody from your past, likely a friend, a female, you know, or somebody that you've known before, bringing this opportunity to you. If you're single and you are looking for a relationship, Venus retrograde in your 11th could bring a love story from a friendship. And so an old friend reemerges in your life and you guys start to realize there's an attraction. And next thing you know, there's a relationship forming. That's very possible with this particular retrograde because Juno and Cupido are hanging along up there with Venus as well. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, check my description box below for everything I've got going on. And I hope to see you in my next videos, plural. I got a lot of the stuff in the pipeline for you. And thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of my small community. Please share my videos if you feel so called. Mwah.